Hello, right now it is June 16th and it is 4:21 a.m. Basically, I'm making this video right now to let everyone know about the fact that I was going to talk about Junaid, but instead of talking about Junaid first, I need to talk about the talking point about basically a talking point about the child talking point where law enforcement is giving to Jeanette and saying that it is my fault as a child that someone might have said something bad around me as a child while I was being adult supervised, but it's not the adult's fault since the adult would be one of their own BFFs like Uncle Joey or yeah, and so it's not the adult's fault and it's not law enforcement's fault despite law enforcement knowing about it and never caring from that time in 2001 till this very day today, but it's the child's fault who wasn't even mentally mature enough yet to be left at home alone yet. So yeah, basically, yeah. So this journal, I mean, I'm going to start off a little bit about talking about the problem with Junaid and his invalid motive. Junaid's invalid motive is mainly sex addiction, and the problem with it is that he is a sex addict and he goes around begging women, basically girls and women, for sex. And these are girls and women that found out about my brain savant, knew me throughout my life, sometime at my life, one way or another. Didn't know me really. Most of them didn't even know me, but once they found out about my brain savant, they started coming after me. Some of them did know me, obviously, like elementary school teacher, and Junaid, and she just wanted to know more about my brain savant and basically called me over for dinner after it would get freed. Obviously, no one goes without, like, when your brain savant isn't even freed yet. Why would you go there? And like, same thing with any school teacher would do. If I was a school teacher, I would get my students to come and basically meet me. If I had a female student who ended up having a extremely rare and profitable brain savant, what would I do? I would invite that student over to my house for dinner after the student's brain savant would obviously get freed. Ask them questions about it, like, you're Kim P. Rain Man. Tell us about more about yourself. Like, what kind of powers do you have? What can you use it for? What have you done so far? These sort of things. Every single person is interested. The first person who would want their name in the waiting list, the first, would obviously be school teachers. Why are they asking from before? Because they want to be they want to be seen first, like after the brain savant gets freed, people are going to be like crowding up and asking questions, like they want to be the first ones, so they just put their name in the box first. Simple as that. I would have done the same exact thing. If I was a school teacher, I found out about one of my female school students, I would have said, can you come see me first? When your brain savant gets freed, like 2 weeks afterwards, so you test it out and everything, we all know about it, but you got to come see me first 2 weeks after your brain savant gets freed. So yeah, same thing. Normal human behavior. You're curious to know. Junaid and law enforcement have been running after this elementary school teacher along with all these other girls. They have gotten rejected and had police called on them or threatened to have the police call on them at least 5 to 6 times since May 25th, 2026, probably more than that, considering the fact that it's not just Junaid, it's also Ibrahim, the greedy framer, and they're both running after these girls and women that they never knew throughout their entire lives, and they only found out about them through law enforcement, about the fact that they were coming after me due to finding out about my brain savant. And so Junaid, the greedy framer, and Junaid and Ibrahim, the greedy framer, they both found out about it, these girls running after me because of my brain savant, and then they became extremely envious, and then they started running after these girls due to their sex addiction. Junaid, let's start with Junaid. So Junaid has been running after these girls and women. My elementary school teacher's son is only about 2 years younger than me, and he has had the police call on Junaid around May 25th, 2026, due to which law enforcement were not able to make eye contact with me. And Junaid has had the police call on him, or had been threatened to do so, since May 25th, 2026, obviously just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so basically, yeah. And so Junaid became extremely envious, and he wants that brain savant locked up since it's literally the only thing that he cannot copy. Junaid has copied everything. literally my personality. He wears a black sweater instead of blue, wears glasses 24/7, even though I only wear it while either driving or watching TV. He even changed his voice, even though I don't have that kind of voice. And basically, he went around telling people that he lacked social skills, even though in 2024, when I was literally starving, he was calling people up and saying things like, I have a lot of friends and Hassan has no friends, only so that only so that because he thought that people would like that, and he would go around telling people that I had no friends and he had a lot of friends in 2024, and apparently in 2026 he lacked social skills. And then except for that, he is also telling people that he's autistic as well. Not only is he autistic, he's obsessed with being a knight, which anyone from my high school, including Natalia, will tell you that they used to call me the History Channel due to my autistic obsession with history. Yeah, so like all these things like Junaid copied of me. Like not every autistic person is obsessed with being a knight. You can find, like, think of your own creative obsession and just work on that. Yeah, and so basically, like literally, like if they would, yeah. And so copying every single thing possible of mine, even like my disease condition, which I did not think would be possible. Like there are facial features that could tell that a person is autistic or not. You literally cannot copy something like this. And so they even changed my facial features, by the way. The last time I saw my skin color in its original form was September 15th, 2025, when I went to go get my brake patch changed. And if you watch my video from May 31st, 2026, you would see that my facial features on that video is totally different from how it would be on the remaining videos, mainly because they use their tools to try to change it as much as possible. But yeah, these people are basically like Junaid copied literally everything he could. He even told people that he lacked social skills. He told people that he was autistic and that he was obsessed with being a knight. He changed his, like, the way he looked from wearing like a black sweater instead of a blue one. Started wearing glasses 24/7 instead of just while driving and watching TV. Yeah, but even then he found that the girls were not interested, and he was just making a fool of himself, because like people that lack social skills is not like we can't talk to people. Like if someone calls me, I'm not going to be rude to them and not talk to them. Lacking social skills basically means that in reality, instead of like how I am right now, in reality I would be smiling all day and night long. The only reason I'm not is because of the tools that they're using on me. And like if I would go over to like a protest or something, like I didn't go to the Black Lives Matter protest, but if I did, if I'd see like them having a lot of people there, I would get over excited for them, and like normal human beings would not get that excited, and so it would just look really awkward, and I would be embarrassed of looking awkward, due to which that is what is considered lacking social skills, due to fear of embarrassing yourself in public. It doesn't mean you don't talk to people, you still can. The other thing is like it's a thing that starts in early childhood, where you literally just stare into the History Channel logo all day long from morning till night, since like when I was like a 9-year-old child, that they used their time machine, I call it the time machine, to test it out on January 20th, 2026. They tested it out on that day using their time machine, and they found out that I was telling the truth about that, and that is exactly how the starting of the my brain savant started. The very starting phase of it started when I was 9 years old, exactly like that. And I don't know how they did it, but they told the machine that they have artificial intelligence to lock up the remaining autistic part of my brain and just let the childhood autistic part stay. And I got the same exact feeling that I got when I was a 9-year-old child, and I would literally stare into the History Channel logo from morning till night when I was 9, and like at nighttime my mother would just turn off the TV and I would go to sleep, and the next day I would do the exact same thing over and over again. So basically they used their time machine on January 20th, 2026, and told artificial intelligence to lock up the remaining parts of my brain, just let the brain savant part for early childhood stay, and they were able to test it out. You could ask them. Obviously they would know. January 20th, 2026, that's when they did it. So basically, yeah, so that's how it started off. So basically, like, people like Junaid have like a sex addiction, and so they cannot, there are certain things that they cannot copy. One of them obviously is my brain savant. They they cannot copy that, but everything else that they try to copy, but even after trying to copy it, the girls still didn't like them, mainly because obviously girls are into monetary value of the brain savant. They don't care if I lack social skills or not, like that's just a weird and stupid thing to try to copy, and even that is being copied wrong. Like, you're not supposed to like hang up people's phone calls that you've been talking to every week just to try to pretend to not have any social skills. That's not how lacking social skills work. Yeah, and also autistic people that lack social skills would not beg women their mother's age for sex all day night long, like how Junaid was doing. And now Junaid and Ibrahim the greedy framer have been rejected by all these women over and over again, all day, every day, while trying to pursue them. And then they would blame me for it. And right now, Junaid very aggressively is trying to use law enforcement to try to get me to help him scam these girls. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. First of all, the main reason is that it's someone else's daughter that's being scammed, and they're looking for vulnerable girls that hear courtroom chatter about my brain savant through artificial intelligence experts telling the courts that it is obviously extremely rare and profitable, and then the girls would hear courtroom chatter about it, and then they, like, Junaid and law enforcement wish to use that to try to get me to help them scam these girls. I can't do that. First of all, the reason is morals. It's wrong to scam someone's daughter into thinking that you're the CEO when you're in reality you're getting paid the exact same amount doing the exact same thing as my sister. And even that, like, you get into fights and arguments every single day at work, and are close to getting an early retirement every single year, to the point that this year it's like 100% guaranteed that you're going to get an early retirement. Like, I'm not gonna go and try to scam people's daughters into thinking that you're a CEO, especially when Junaid has himself told the girls the truth. After the girls found out, like, they were trying to scam the girls, and they would make up all these stories and tell them stuff about how he's the CEO, and then he would make stories upon stories and say stuff like, I wasn't going to tell anyone, but now that they found out that I'm a CEO, I guess I'll have to, even though it's a lie. No one found out about anything. They're just lies. Like, how can you find out about something that's not even true? So he was making stories upon stories. And like, he would get law enforcement to go tell the girls that Ehsan is jealous because he's the CEO, and we know this because we did a brain scan of his brain, and he looked jealous inside because Ehsan knows that Junaid is the CEO. Like, all these stories were being fully made up. And then Junaid would say stuff like, I wasn't gonna tell anyone that I'm the CEO, but now that they found out, complete and total BS, adding stories upon stories upon stories of things, when in reality he's working the same exact job as my sister, getting paid the exact same amount. The only difference is he loses his job every single year, gets into fights and arguments, and as soon as he saw that someone told the girls about it, he quickly went and told the girls the truth. He told the girls that he gets into fights and arguments at work every single day, and that he's probably going to lose his job this year again, like how he does every year, and that he gets paid the same amount and does the exact same thing as my sister, and he was never the CEO. He was just making up these stories, and that he's probably going to get an early retirement this year. Like, all these things that, it's just shows that you're a liar. And now he wants me to help him scam these girls, vulnerable girls, is living alone without their parents, being scammed. And I'm just like, no, thank you. I'm not interested in them, and I'm not going to help you do this either. Like, I have my own problems in life, and I'm not interested in this stuff. Like, seriously, yeah. And so, obviously I said no. I'm already being scammed myself with two different women. You have to understand the fact that Miss Deb and Farah the greedy framer are both trying to scam me right now. This is a prenup marriage scam. I rejected their daughter's request for both Miss Deb and Farah the greedy framer on the night of June 19th. They were both starting at that time, and till this very day, they're both trying it. July 6, 2026, I labeled it a prenup marriage scam, mainly because it is a scam. They're basically running scams to try to force me to sign a prenup marriage agreement for their daughter, and then in exchange what they're going to do is basically harass me for the rest of my life. Why would I marry their daughter when I have like a billion different options, and other options that I would have would be like so much better than them? Like, why would I marry their daughter? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, and if I did sign a prenup marriage agreement, it would only be because due to force and them creating chaos in the courtroom, and then they're gonna use basically the rest of my life harassing me all day night long for money from whatever they make me sign in that prenup marriage agreement, and that this is a scam, and this is exactly what they're trying to do to me. They know for a fact I'm not interested. Well, June 19th, I already told them on the first day, and they tried it every single day afterwards still. And then starting July 6th, 2026, I made a video and I let the entire world know that this is a prenup marriage scam, and if I get any more requests for me to sign this marriage agreement with either Further Greedy Framer's daughter or Miss Deb's daughter, then this is has to be counted as not a marriage request or even a forced marriage request, but a scam, a blackmail scam request for a prenup marriage scam, basically. So after July 6th, it's still being sent. And Miss Deb changed her tactics because her daughter's married, not separated, not divorced. She's happily married, drinks coffee with her husband every single morning, and then they go to work, happily married, and she's sending me ads for her daughter. So basically people called Miss Deb out on that. Like, you're creating courtroom chaos against this guy. You were trying to get him to marry your daughter before, and now you're trying it again, but your daughter's already married, so what are you doing over here? Because your daughter's happily married. And so Miss Deb was just like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Like, seriously, like, this is common sense. You're saying that I'm a bad person and that my brain savant should get locked up. Well, if I'm a bad person, my brain savant should get locked up. Am I not bad for your daughter? Like, why should I marry your daughter then? So basically, Miss Deb was trying to get me to marry her daughter in 2024, and then she didn't change her mind and stance right now because she found out that I was a bad person. It was because she was envious of the fact that someone else's daughter is going to get my brain savant money, due to which, when she found out that my brain savant was looking like it was going to get freed, she started running after me again for her daughter who's married. Same thing with Fire the Greedy Framer. Now, Miss Deb, after being called out on sending me ads for her daughter who's already married, she started sending me ads for her husband, who's supposed to be Will Ferrell, and all those ads for the Lay's chips ads is supposed to be her husband, to use a brain scanner to try to check to see what the chances of me marrying her daughter are by using someone who represents her husband. I know for a fact that's her husband because she at one time used to send me ads that were like PayPal ads, and it would be Will Ferrell saying, I just want to pay with you everywhere. So basically, yeah. So those ads were basically for Miss Deb. Still, she just changed her strategy, and she's still sending me these greedy marriage ads for her daughter using her husband's name now, because she can't use Wendy's anymore, because she used to use Wendy's, and you don't want to know what she's send me with Wendy's. It was just a Wendy's ad, but yeah, it wasn't a Wendy's ad. It was something else. You could ask law enforcement. And yeah, and then it was like, except for that, she was sending me Ashley's Furniture ads, and then now she changed her strategy, same greed. She's sending me ads for her daughter using someone that represents her husband, which would be someone like Will Ferrell, and she's sending me ads that way. So now it is this thing that's going on, and for the Greedy Framer, same exact thing. Farrah has now changed her strategy as well. She's not only sending me ads for her daughter Zara, she's sending me ads for her daughter Ifra as well. She's sending me ads for two of her daughters. Like, what is wrong with these people? And they're arguing in court that I'm a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up, and at the same time, they're asking me if I want to marry their daughter or not. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and so I'm just kind of like, what is going on over here? You can't say that I'm a bad person and then you're asking me to marry your daughter at the same time. It shows that these people are only enviously trying to lock up my brain savant so that no one else's daughter could get what their daughter couldn't, while at the same time they are basically at the same time they're greedily trying to get me to marry their daughter, basically running a prenup marriage scam, because they know that I'm not interested in their daughters, because I have like a billion different offers, and like after my brain savant gets freed, I'm only going to go after my brain savant gets freed and after I get my first work done, so which means that I'm obviously not going to go for their daughter, since they're arguing against me in court and creating courtroom chaos against me, saying that I'm a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up. So it makes no sense for me to be going for their daughter, either Miss Deb or for the Greedy Framer. And ironically enough, the two two people who are trying very aggressively for me to marry their daughter are arguing in court at the same time that I'm a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up, showing from facts and evidences that they're only arguing this because I'm not going with their daughter, and that's the only reason why. Because no one wants a bad person to marry their daughter in the first place. So basically, people like Junaid are wanting me to go and try to scam the girls into sleeping with Junaid and telling them all these stories that are just not even true. And by the way, Farah the Greedy Framer sent me ads for her daughter Ifra at night, starting June 15th, like after midnight, June 15th. She started sending me ads for her daughter Ifra, and if you check conversations between Farah the Greedy Framer and law enforcement, you will find that she did, in fact, ask law enforcement to try to send me ads that would resemble girls that would look like her daughter Ifra. Excuse me, including one that she put in at 10:43 a.m. on the morning of June 15th. Now, that means that Farah the Greedy Framer is trying for two daughters now for me to marry. Like, it makes no sense. If I'm a bad person, then why do you want me to marry your daughter? No one wants a bad person to marry their daughter. Obviously, it's due to extreme envy that she was trying to lock up my brain savant and claim that I'm a bad person, and now it's extreme greed due to which she wants me to marry her daughter, and she's just like, if not this one, then this one. And obviously, it's prenup marriage scam. You're trying to force someone to marry your daughter when in fact marriages don't work on force, and obviously I would run away and she's just gonna get me to sign like some psychotic prenup agreement so that if I run away and go marry someone, like I have like a billion different choices after my brain savant gets freed. If I go marry someone whom I want to instead of someone who forced me to do so with her ugly looking daughters, then obviously she's just going to harass me for the rest of my life with this prenup marriage scam that she's trying to force me to sign, that I said it in the video for July 6, 2026, just a few days ago, that she has, she's trying to force me to sign this prenup marriage scam, and it's just for money and for the greed for money, for my brain savant money, and that's basically why she's trying to do this. And even after July 6, 2026, she finds out that it's been labeled a prenup marriage scam, and both Miss Deb and Farah the Greedy Framer are still at it, really clearly showing from facts and evidences that these people, both of them, are only doing this out of extreme envy to lock up my brain savant by claiming exaggerations and fabrications against me, while at the same time trying to force me to marry their daughters, clearly showing that they know everything about my brain savant through law enforcement, and they want to be able to profit off of it more than anyone else, which is why they're claiming that I'm a bad person in court and creating chaos against me. No one wants a bad person to marry their daughter. Okay, plain and simple, no one does, which means that they're only arguing against me in court due to extreme envy and due to extreme greed. Now they're trying to force me to marry their daughter, which they know for a fact, like, even if I did sign a prenup marriage agreement to either one of these psychos, both of the daughters are married, by the way. Miss Deb's daughter Ashley's married, and one of Farah's daughter Ifra was married, and now I guess she might be divorced, and now she wants me to marry her daughter, like, and then she wants me to marry her other daughter Zara as well. Like, she just like pick and choose. Like, I don't want either. Like, I've been saying since June 19th, I said no, and then July 6th I labeled this a prenup marriage scam. I don't want this, and they're arguing against me in court, claiming that I'm a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up, and at the same time they're trying to get me to marry their daughters. Like, how does this make any sense? No one wants a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up to be marrying their daughters in the first place, and obviously they're only doing this out of extreme envy and extreme greed. Now, to move on to someone like Junaid, Junaid basically has a sex addiction and incredibly invalid motive. So he basically changed his entire appearance, personality, even started claiming that he lacked social skills, even though in the year 2024, when I was literally starving, he was calling people and telling them that he has plenty of friends, he has so many friends, and he's so social, and that I don't have any friends. Well, it's true, I don't have any friends. But the fact of the matter is, like, you can't just change yourself and just claim that one day, you know? It's like law enforcement basically I told law enforcement how this thing with autism and how me lacking social skills started off in early childhood. When I was like a 9-year-old child, obviously I used to stare in the History Channel logo all day long from morning till night, till at nighttime my mother would come over, turn off the TV, and I would go to sleep, and the next morning I would wake up and I would do the exact same thing, just stare into the History Channel logo all day long from morning till night. So basically, yeah, that's how it started off. And then it evolved to being how it was between October 2019 till July 1st, 2023. Between those two dates, for 4 years, every single day from morning till night, I would stare into the textbook, and it would give me the same exact pleasure that I would get as a child while I was staring into the History Channel logo as a child when I was like about 9 years old. So basically, yeah. And that's what happened. It evolved. The Brain Savant evolved. And later on, when it evolved, it gave me superhuman powers in terms of instantaneous photographic memory, innovation, and focusing. All of those, by the way, they talked about in court and had expert testimony given from artificial intelligence experts to the court judges, letting them know exactly what my Brain Savant is like, why it's rare. It's rare due to the fact that instantaneous photographic memory makes me Kim Peek Rain Man. But on top of that, I also have innovation, which was tested a few weeks before April 22nd, 2025. And I also have focusing, which was tested with instantaneous photographic memory on August 9, 2022 for 6 hours. And on top of that, that is just superhuman powers when air drugging is lowered, which means that on April 22nd, 2025, when they let go of these ears, and on April 22nd, 2025, these ears were all the way in the back of my head. My brain on the inside was like this, and it was just like zing, 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 zing. And it was just like those powers from August 9, 2022 would increase even more when they let go of the ears as well, which are also locked up. And we know this for a fact that due to the fact that they just tested out the ears. They tested out the ears being unlocked on recently, a few weeks ago, June 24th, 2026. And the result came out on July 8th, 2026, 14 days later. How do I know when the results come out? Because Kelly from law enforcement tells me, and you don't want to know how. I want to make this appropriate video, so let's just leave it there. Anyways, yeah. So basically, that is what happened, and that's what's going on. Now, the thing about it is, Junaid and law enforcement, basically, what they were doing is they were running after these girls who were coming after me. And obviously, I'm not going to go after any girls because, first of all, like I said, the way that the autistic Brain Savant started was when I was 9 years old child staring in the History Channel logo all day from morning till night. Now, before I went to Russia, I told everyone about this, and they just said, oh, it was such a lie, beautiful story, made up though. Okay. And then they had their own stories like, oh, he meditated, which is how he became autistic Brain Savant. So basically, obviously it was due to jealous rage, but someone told law enforcement, they're like, you do know you could test it out, right? And they're like, how do we do that? And people in the government just told them, use your time machine. I call it the time machine. This thing's so advanced, they use it for illegitimate purposes, like checking to see my brain, if I'm willing to give the person blackmailing me illegal assurances of money, and if I'd pay them or not, when my Brain Savant would get freed or not. But really, this is like some of the things that you can use it for. So on January 20th, 2026, they tested out whether my Brain Savant started when I was an 9-year-old child with me staring into the History Channel logo all day from morning till night or not. They found out that I was telling the truth because they told artificial intelligence to lock up the remaining autistic part of my brain except for the childhood autistic part, and they got to test it out to try to see if I was telling the truth or not. And on January 20th, 2026, I was able to watch documentaries exactly how I watched when I was a 9-year-old child, proving from facts and evidences that I was telling the truth all along, that is exactly how my Brain Savant started off in the evolution process. And when I was a 9-year-old child, that is what would happen. I would stare into the History Channel logo from morning till night, literally from morning till night is all I would do. And then my mother would turn off the TV at night and I would go to sleep. And then the next day, as a 9-year-old child, I would do the exact same thing. Now, between October 2019 till July 1st, 2023, for 4 years, I stared into a textbook, and I got the same exact pleasure from staring into a textbook. The only difference is by this time my powers had evolved, and it also gave me superhuman powers in terms of instantaneous photographic memory, innovation, and focusing. So basically, yeah, I already told you what the dates were for when the tests were done for instantaneous photographic memory, focusing, and innovation. So basically, Junaid and law enforcement want these girls to hear about the courtroom chatter that expert testimony is giving based on the artificial intelligence report, telling the judges that I do have these powers and that instantaneous photographic memory itself would make me like Kim Peek Rain Man, and that innovation and focusing would give me even more powers, and that these powers increase over time, and they're already superhuman as it is when ear drugging is lowered. But if they let go of my ears, like how they did on April 22nd, 2025, and a few weeks ago on June 24th, 2026, just a few weeks ago, then the powers increase even more, because inside of my brain would just go like this. And so, yeah, obviously, this is the reason why law enforcement has been so obsessed with me and making fabrications and false testimonies against me, since every single person that law enforcement would claim said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child, those people law enforcement have been BFFs with since 2001, running sex schemes and money fraud with them till this very day today. And those money frauds, by the way, only stopped only a few months ago, maybe like a month or two ago, even though they were being run for years and years, clearly showing from facts and evidences that law enforcement couldn't care less about anything that anyone could have said around me, even remotely considered bad around me, and that law enforcement is just making up excuses right now because all their fabricated false testimonies got caught. Basically, November 20th, let's provide up a little bit more. 2023, the year 2023, law enforcement were running their sex schemes, money fraud the entire year, only for them to try to fabricate a wedding crime against me, a wedding where I would not be present in. It was basically trying to frame me for it. The people who were involved in that fighting crime would be people like Assad, and I could guarantee you from criminal psychology that Assad would not only commit the crime, he would be present with the other people committing it throughout the entire wedding, and he would be talking with them the entire wedding about the crime. And Assad, obviously, right now was narrating for law enforcement in a trial against me. Very ironic. And when he gets caught and found out, Assad, basically, he just packs up and leaves like he's done nothing wrong. Law enforcement told him, it would just pretty much whisper into his ears, don't answer any questions. Is this what law enforcement is supposed to be doing? I don't think so. It's just like, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of investigating the crime? Or are you on the side of the criminals? Because it really looks like you're on the side of the criminals. Law enforcement is not only covering over the crime, they're telling the people who were absolutely present in the crime could not have missed out on it, could not have been people that didn't commit the crime, they would not answer any questions. So really, a basic question that has to be asked to law enforcement is, whose side are you on? Are you on the investigation side, or are you on the criminal side? Because it looks like you're on the other side, sir. Like, really. Yeah, people like us that are just walking around freely. Like, it's just like, and law enforcement covers over the entire crime. It's just like, what the heck is going on? And then law enforcement basically suddenly realized that there was an investigation going on. And when they realized this, in 2023, they tried to fabricate a false testimony against me based on a wedding crime, and for a wedding where I cannot even remotely be present in. And so this like framing technique started in the year 2023, from what I know, could have been before then. And law enforcement has been trying to frame me for one false thing to another. So the thing about it is just the fact that, yeah, the government, obviously, they went and they testified to the president at the end of 2023, trying to frame me for this wedding crime. Law enforcement, before they tried to make this false testimony against me for the wedding crime, they confessed amongst themselves that I had nothing to do with it. Due to this fact, what ended up happening was, law enforcement obviously got caught, but obviously the government found out that there was a crime, so they would be like, hey, what about that crime? You want to investigate that now? And it's just like the entire year of 2023, when they wanted to frame me for this crime, you got to remember, the entire year of 2023, they were running their money fraud. And they were running their sex scheme ads for Uncle Joey at the November 2023 funeral, very aggressively, giving Uncle Joey a protocol like that would envy most governors. And they were only doing this since they have been basically getting sex schemes from Uncle Joey's in-laws, and they had to provide it in reciprocal for Uncle Joey himself. So the entire year of 2023, law enforcement were running their money fraud, where they would steal money from unemployment, disability, and wire transfer to their friends, mainly the guy in law enforcement who just fabricated the false testimony against me a few days ago on July 11th, 2026, just a few days ago, only to try to get revenge from me for me finding out that they were they were getting humiliated by people like my elementary school teachers, begging them for sex. And so, yeah, that person would get the money from the unemployment disability fraud, who just really good at fabricating false testimonies. Not just July 11th, he also fabricated the group chat false testimony against me as well. So basically, yeah. And law enforcement were running these unemployment disability frauds only to try to get money to their friend. And the entire year of 2023, they were running their sex scheme money fraud, and they want to frame me for a wedding incident. And then at the end of the year 2023, when they go and tell the government about this wedding crime, the government obviously finds out that I had nothing to do with it because they confessed to this fact but right before they actually tried to frame me for this wedding incident. But you got to remember the fact that after they basically told the government that there was a crime, the government was obviously like, all right, how about it? You want to go solve it? Did you do any investigation on that crime? What about prosecution? Did you do that? And law enforcement was like, don't worry about that. Let us worry about that. And the government obviously smelled BS. Like, these people, not only are they trying to frame me, the thing that they're supposed to be investigating, they're not investigating. And mainly because the people that would obviously be present in the crime scene would be people like their own BFF Assad, who was just narrating in the trial against me right now. And right before he left the courts, law enforcement basically whispers into his ears, don't answer any questions. Like, the person's present in the crime scene, he's committing the crime throughout the entire wedding, he's speaking with the other people who committed the crimes, not speaking with anyone else, and obviously talking about the crime itself. How do we know this? Criminal psychology basically says one criminal likes putting out the weight to another criminal. Exactly why the spokesperson's greedy framer mother told the government informant right before November 20th, 2025, that she had more lies planned against me. You would say that that's a very stupid thing to do, but that is exactly what she would have to do. Mainly because when one fabricator, like the greedy framer spokesperson Ibrahim's mother, would find another one in law enforcement who wasn't a fabricator, he was a government informant, but when they think that he is a criminal fabricator just like themselves, they want to take their their weight out on that other fabricator and just tell them about tell them about their own crimes that they're planning on committing even after November 20th, which were the lies that they planned on making against me. So basically, basic criminal psychology says that these people will obviously be together throughout the entire wedding discussing the crime. Now, the wedding crime, the government, they're just like, why is the government not on our side? The government has had experience dealing with these people for years, and the government knows that this is all about my brain savant. Everything else is BS. How do we know this? Due to the fact that this wedding incident has never been investigated. People like Assad who are going to be present in the wedding incident, he would never have been questioned about a single question relating to it. He's the criminal, he's present there, he's committing the crime, then he's discussing it with the other criminals throughout the entire wedding, not even talking to anyone else throughout the entire wedding. How much of a genius do you have to be to solve this puzzle? Obviously he's involved, and law enforcement knew he was involved, and they still had Assad narrate in the trial against me, only for it to be found out. And when it's found out, law enforcement basically just simply tell Assad, don't answer any questions, quietly just get out of here. That's what he does. Is this how you solve crimes? I don't think so. Is this how you do investigations? I don't think so. And so, there was no investigation done. Basically, when they found out about my brain savant, law enforcement basically wanted it locked up at any cost. And so now they have people like Junaid testifying. Now, the thing about Junaid is Junaid basically has a sex addiction problem, and he's been running after these women that were coming after me due to my brain savant. And now what's going on is he's been rejected since May 25th, 2026. He's been rejected numerous times over and over and over and over again. More than 6 or 7 times he's been rejected and had the police call on him a couple times by a lot of these women and girls that were first initially coming after me. And then on top of that, you also have, so police call on him numerous times, and you also have Ibrahim the greedy framer. But the thing about Junaid is this is an invalid motive, and it's clearly proven due to the fact that right now it is June 16th, and just a couple hours ago, literally 4 hours ago at 1 a.m. So right now it is 5 a.m. At around 1 a.m., Junaid was sending through law enforcement an ad for Amazon partners about how 2 brothers are working together. Basically, Junaid is asking law enforcement over and over again. He sees it as the only way out. He wants law enforcement to help him scam these girls who are vulnerable. Yeah, same person in court that Junaid is arguing is a bad person, such as myself, should be helping Junaid through law enforcement scam other people's daughters into sleeping with Junaid by giving them all these CEO stories that are absolutely not true. And instead, he's earning the same amount as my sister, doing the same exact thing. Only difference is he's about to get an early retirement this year. And he wants me to tell these girls all these stories about a CEO that is just not even true. And he knows it's not true. And basically scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it is a scam. It's fraud, it's a lie, and it's what they want me to do. Not too long ago, just 4 hours ago at around 1 a.m., June 16th, it would be in law. If you, it would be like a number hyphen law in my Gmail. Yeah, and it would basically be Amazon partners, and it would basically be two brothers working together. He wants me to scam these girls, other people's daughters who are living alone, who hear about my brain savant through courtroom chatter, and I'm supposed to go up to them, talk to them into first sleeping with me or something, and then sleeping with Junaid, telling them about all these CEO stories that are just not true. First of all, I wouldn't do that for myself in the first place. Had it not been a moral issue, I already have two people trying to scam me. One is Miss Deb, and the other is for the Greedy Framer, both for their daughters, and both of them have already changed their tactics. Miss Deb is now advertising her married daughter to me through her husband, who's supposed to be Will Ferrell, sending ads about him with Lay's now for a daughter of hers who's married. And Farrah the Greedy Framer is advertising two of her daughters to me now, Zara and Ifra. Both of these daughters are being advertised to me. Both of these people, Miss Deb and for the Greedy Framer, both of them are arguing in court that my brain savant should get locked up because I'm a bad person. But as soon as they get out of court, they call law enforcement and they say, "Can you please advertise my daughter to him? Either I'm a bad person or you want me to marry your daughter. One or the other. You don't want a bad person to marry your daughter. Obviously not, unless if you were trying to lock up my brain savant using the false testimonies like November 20th, following November 20th, those ones that were all a bunch of lies confessed to the government informant, and following those, all the lies that were found out to be complete and total lies from phone conversations retrieved, unless if you made all those lies and exaggerations and fabrications against me, like how far the Greedy Framer did, only due to extreme envy of me not wanting to marry her daughter and her getting all of my brain savant money. Yeah, unless if that's the reason why, that's obviously the only reason why, which is why outside of courtroom, she's calling law enforcement and saying, "Can you ask him if he wants to marry my other daughter? If he's not interested in that one, ask him if he wants to marry my other daughter, Ifra. If he's not interested in Zara, ask him about Ifra." Are you insane, lady? You're arguing in court, creating courtroom chaos against me, fabrications, lies upon lies. Not only November 20th, but the subsequent lies after that were already confessed to the government informant as being lies, and the subsequent third set of lies even after that were found to be lies, complete and total lies from the phone conversations retrieved. So you made lies upon lies against me, made exaggerations against me in courtroom to create chaos against me, only due to extreme envy, due to the fact that you knew that I didn't want to marry your ugly looking weirdo abnormal daughters. And so now you're asking outside of courtroom, you're asking law enforcement to ask me if I want to marry your daughter or not. Keep sending me ads for your daughters, even though on June 19th I told Farrah the Greedy Framer, "I'm not interested in your daughter, lady. I don't want her." Like, please. That was the first time she sent it, and I told law enforcement to tell her that I did not want her daughter. She's still sending me ads for her daughter, and she now has added another daughter in there apart from the first one. This woman's literally crazy. She's sending me ads for Ifra, which was sent to me 10:43 a.m. on July 15th. Along with the night of July 15th, all night, with her daughter Ifra as well, except for Zara. And then Miss Deb is now sending me ads for her daughter Ashley through ads with her husband, who's supposed to be Will Ferrell now. And if you ask law enforcement, you will find out that I'm telling you the truth about this. So yeah, I'm being scammed myself with this prenup marriage scam, and we know it's a prenup marriage scam because I already labeled it as such on July 6th, and they're still sending it to me. And Junaid wants me due to his sex addiction to help him basically scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him. First of all, I would not go near anyone after seeing the kind of scams that people are trying to run on me, especially Miss Deb and for the Greedy Framer. I would have to be stupid to do so, even before my brain savant even gets freed. Why would I do that? And yeah. And Junaid basically wants me to scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him, which makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. Like, why would I do that? And they're continuously trying to force me to do that. Since May 25th, 2026, which was only like a few months ago, law enforcement, due to Junaid, after Junaid threatened to do so over and over again, law enforcement's broken my car. They broke my Fire Stick for my TV. They also broke my charging outlet, and now they've even broken the charger for my laptop, only because they keep getting rejected by women their mother's age that I never asked them to go after in the first place, like my elementary school teacher. Why would you do that and humiliate yourself like that? Her son, who's only about 2 years younger than me, called the police on them. Like, what the heck? Like, it's not my fault. She's like, no one likes these people because they're running scams on people. And the other person, Ibrahim the Greedy Framer, he's a drug addict, and he's a street drug addict, and he overdoses on drugs every single week, ends up in the emergency room every week. Like, it's not my fault that they're getting rejected, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to scam someone else's daughter. I wouldn't want my daughter being scammed. Literally, like, anyone, like, who would have, like, a sister or daughter, anyone would want, like, the guy to be basically a billionaire, show up at the house, billionaire, and then you would tell your sister or daughter, whomever, like, obviously daughter, not sister, no one has any authority over their sister, but like your daughter, like, you would tell her, like, yeah, like, if he'd be a billionaire, like, if he'd be rich after he'd become one, like, you could take my daughter now. But like, someone trying to run a scam on someone, claiming to be Joe the millionaire and the CEO, Mr. CEO guy, and in reality he's getting an early retirement this year and he works the same job as my sister, earns the same amount. That's a scam. That's a lie. And you're trying to you're trying to scam other people's daughters into sleeping with you based on lies. It's just not right. It's wrong. And the other guy is a complete total drug addict who overdoses on drugs every single week, ends up in the emergency room, literally with very dangerous drugs that have a higher addiction potential than literally heroin in most races. Like, crystal methamphetamine has a higher addiction potential in South Asians than heroin does, due to how the enzyme cytochrome P450 would metabolize these drugs. And these people want me to scam other people's daughters into sleeping with them. Literally, if their parents found out that someone who was a drug addict was even close to their daughter, they would go pick up their daughter, take their daughter to their house, and never let them out of their house. That's a very scary thought. These drugs, by the way, once you take it, you're never going to get off of it. These street drugs have no rules. They decrease the tolerance, increase the potency, make the euphoria so high that the person's never going to get off of it. I can guarantee you that much. And law enforcement is like trying to scam these people's daughters and girls that live alone and are vulnerable to be scammed by these people like Junaid and Ibrahim the Greedy Framer. And they want me to go ahead and help them. Both Junaid and Ibrahim both were sending me ads only a couple hours ago. Junaid's ad was around 1 a.m. Right now it's like 5:09 a.m. It was like around 1:01 a.m. for the Amazon Partners ad, where the two brothers, and like basically Junaid wants me to help him scam these girls as Mr. CEO. And like Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer, he did the exact same thing. His ad came right afterwards. I know this for a fact because it was the Caribbean Sandals ad, and Ibrahim was kicked out of Caribbean. And these people criticized me for my completing my overseas pharmacy school in 2019, October of 2019, giving all 108 exams to get it done while sleeping on the streets to get it done, being abused by my stepmothers the entire time I was there, eating 2 sandwiches and a pack of ramen noodles for months. And yeah, and they criticized me for getting it done in 2019 when they know for a fact the only reason I had to quit school in the middle was because my mother lost her job at Food Line, and she called me one day and she was just like, I can't send you money for food anymore. And I was like, why? Why am I going to do this? And she's like, I don't know. And she just hung up the phone. And I just like somehow got back home in early 2017. I even asked my stepmother, I was like, can you share your food with me? And my stepmother was like, no, it's our food. We're not sharing it. And I told her my mother lost her job at a food line. I needed food. And she's like, no, I'm not sharing my food. And I went hungry for like 3 days before I somehow found a way back home, back to my mother's house. Literally, these were the kind of things I had to go through in order to like finish school in life. And I was like overseas, and I went through a lot of trouble in order to finish school. And people like Ibrahim, the greedy framer, who was also sent to the Caribbean to finish school, didn't last a day over there. The entire time I was studying, by the way, my brain savant was locked up, and law enforcement used severe amnesia drugs on me, so I couldn't study. And they even used amnesia drugs on me when I was in the exam room. I never knew I was smart till August 9th, 2022, like literally almost 2019, 3 years after I got my college degree. I didn't even know I had a brain savant the entire time, and they had it locked up. And they knew about my brain savant, obviously, because they had a brain scanner and they had it locked up the entire time. I didn't even know I had a brain savant. That's how evil these people are. Yeah, and I had to give my pharmacy finals not only with my brain savant locked up, but them also using amnesia drugs on top of that to force me to fail. Like how they forced me to fail the last biochem exam, where I couldn't even remember how to spell my own name, just to force me to fail it. But I had worked so hard till then, sleeping on the streets to give like 108 exams finished, that I finally did get my college degree, even though the entire time they were using severe amnesia drugs on me, that they confessed in court that they did use on me while I would be in the exam rooms, just so that I wouldn't even know that I had a brain savant or that I was smart. And then on top of that, yeah, they were getting me kicked out of the room that I was sleeping in on the side of the street, due to which I would have to go sleep inside of a mosque and do things of that certain nature. I ran on like 2 sandwiches and a pack of ramen noodles for months. Yeah, I had to work like really, really hard in life, and like people like Ibrahim, the greedy framer, just merely advertising with this Caribbean thing, literally got kicked out the right next day he went there. Didn't even try to stay there at any cost, and they're criticizing me for all kinds of things, including the fact that it took me till October 2019 to get my degree. I had to sleep on the streets to get my degree. I had to lock brain savant when I got my degree. On top of that, they were using severe amnesia drugs on me when I was giving my pharmacy school finals to get all 108 exams done. This is a known fact. Law enforcement confessed in court that they used amnesia drugs on me while I'd be in this exam room. 80% of my batch got it the exact same time I did. So they got it in October. They got it in October 2018. 80% of the batch, my batch for my pharmacy school did. That means they gave exams twice, and I would have gotten my degree after I gave my exams twice, because I already had the required GPA after I gave it twice. I just gave the exams a third time because I didn't know that I had the required GPA met. And so, yeah, I would have gotten it at the same time that 80% of my batch did, despite me having my brain savant locked up, despite me being drugged with amnesia drugs the entire time I'd be sitting in exam rooms and while I'd be studying, and despite me being abused by my stepmother, despite me only running on 2 sandwiches and a pack of ramen noodles for a month, despite me tutoring someone for food just to get through school. Even then, I would have gotten my degree at the exact same time that 80% of my batch for my pharmacy school got it, which was in October 2018, because they only gave their exams twice before they got their college degree. Yeah, wait, I'm sorry. October 2017 is when they got 80% of my batch got it. And I would have gotten it at that time if I was able to stay there, which I wasn't able to. Yeah, and so, yeah, after they gave 2 sets of exams, and I gave 2 sets of exams before I got the required GPA met. They're not letting me talk, which is why I'm talking like this. So, yeah, I had to give 2 sets of exams before I got the required GPA met. And the only reason I gave the third set of exam was because I didn't know that I already had the required GPA met after the second set of exams, which means that I would have, if I was able to stay there, I'd get my degree after two sets of exams as well, as long as law enforcement wouldn't force me to fail it, like how they did a lot of the exams that they confessed they use like severe amounts of amnesia drugs in a lot of the exams. I would have gotten it with the rest, 80% of my batch in October 2017, after two sets of exams. I would have gotten it with them. 80% of my batch got it after two sets of exams. In October 2017, I would have gotten it with them because I got my degree after giving two sets of exams. Basically, yeah, I would have, but I gave a third set because I didn't know my required GPA was met. But yeah, the only reason I wasn't able to stay was because in early 2017, my mother lost her job at a Food Line grocery store she used to work at. She couldn't send me money for food. I just stayed hungry for like 3 days before I got home somehow. But yeah, law enforcement's a witness to all of this. So basically, yeah, and Ibrahim, the greedy framer, who basically didn't last a day in the Caribbean, is now sending me ads for the Caribbean to try to force me to help him run scams on these girls, despite him pretty much being a drug addict. And yeah, and overdosing on drugs and ending up in the emergency room literally every single week. And plus, the entire time I was in pharmacy school overseas, they would use severe amnesia drugs on a lot of the exams that I gave, and even when I was studying for those exams to try to force me to fail and not be able to score as well. And with a brain savant that was fully locked up the entire time. We know this for a fact because the law enforcement basically confessed in court that they used amnesia drugs on me during the last biochem exam and during a lot of the exams to force me to fail them. They confessed in court about this. So we know this for a fact that I'm telling the truth on this. And yeah, with the problems I had with law enforcement basically forcing me to fail using severe amnesia drugs, and on top of that, locking up my brain savant. So I wouldn't even know that I was smart until August 9, 2022, years after I got my degree in October 2019. And then on top of that, I had my stepmother, who she would add acid to my clothes. So my body would burn outside in the heat, and she wouldn't let them wash. And on top of that, she would puncture holes in my clothes so the holes would spread and my clothes would all go bad. And then on top of that, she wouldn't give me any food, but she'd just give me the leftovers that were like left over for like the serfs and stuff. And yeah, and like I had to go through all of that in order to finish school. And like these people who had parents paying for their stuff, they sent them over to the Caribbean, couldn't last 2 days there, are now shamelessly sending me these Caribbean ads despite being drug addicts who overdose on like street drugs literally every single week, end up in the emergency room literally every single week, now want me to help them run scams on other people's daughters. And yeah, like I'm not gonna do that. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. Like even like with me, like after my brain savant would get freed, I'd get my first work done, which is gonna be zero tolerance coffee, and then I'm gonna go get married, and like I'm just gonna live off my life like a normal human being does. Instead of trying to scam other people's daughters, sleeping with them and not marrying them, I wouldn't even go close to them. It's not due to the fear of being lawsuits or anything. It's just how normal human beings live their life, not scamming other people's daughters into sleeping with you when you're a drug addict, or you're making up stories about being a CEO when you're getting an early retirement this year. Like this is just wrong, you know? And so yeah, the thing about Junaid is the entire talking point that he has, I will get to that shortly, but recently Junaid has even threatened to basically break my he was threatening to break my windshield in just early July right now. I can't tell you exactly when right now because law enforcement's also broken my laptop charger, due to which I can't even use my laptop and I have to read off of a tablet now. They broke my laptop charger so that I can't like type up journals anymore and tell the truth, because the truth is bitter and it exposes who the criminals are and who isn't. And so they don't like hearing the truth, so they broke my laptop charger as well. So now I can't use my laptop, but I can give you exact dates, but I know for a fact early July, just a couple days ago, Junaid, through law enforcement, was threatening to break my windshield for my car, and even like he was threatening to slash my tires, all out of anger that I'm not helping him scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him. Yeah, this is like early July, like right now, a couple of days ago, after like getting rejected by so many people and having the police called on him from May 25th, 2026. This is not autistic behavior. This is not lacking social skills behavior. Like people that lack social skills, literally from early childhood, since they're like 9 years old, they literally are attached to different things, mainly concerning TV screens and things of that sort of nature, or like books and textbooks. They're not going to be running after other people's mothers, begging them for sex like elementary school teachers, and then having the police call on them by their son who's literally 2 years younger than me. That's not autistic, lacking social skills behavior. These people obviously are like lying. They're a bunch of liars, scammers, and fraudsters. And yeah, basically, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And they want me to help them run after these women, and it's based on the it's basically based on like the courtroom chatter that artificial intelligence experts would tell the courtroom judge about my the rarity and profitability of my brain savant, and they want like the news to travel and the girls to find out, and then me to go and help them scam these girls into sleeping with them. I'm not doing that. I like, if literally if someone like, let's say Miss Deb, who's trying to get me married to her already married daughter, would even come close to me, I would take out my phone and start recording it, because these people are trying to scam me myself, and I don't want ghosts try to scam someone else's daughter right now. Like, I have enough problems of my own. I can't do that. And right now, a couple hours ago, right now it's 5:22 a.m. At like 1:01 a.m. Junaid was putting the Amazon Partners ad on my YouTube to try to get me to help him, and law enforcement basically go and help people's daughters. After early July, a couple days ago, he was, through law enforcement, putting up ads on my YouTube for me to go and help them scam other people's daughters. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. Like, it's not my thing. Like, after my brain savant gets freed and I get my first work done, which is going to be Zero Tolerance Coffee, I get married and I go home. Like, this is it. That's how normal people live their lives. Like, trying to scam other people's daughters so that I have problems later on in my own life. Like, no, thank you. I'm good. I don't do this. And I don't want to do it. And I just told him I don't want to do it. And so now Junaid is trying to make as much basically false testimonies, exaggerations against me through law enforcement as possible, after I rejected all of their requests to help run after other people's daughters, only out of extreme envy that I'm not helping them scam other people's daughters, which is absolutely wrong. You're not supposed to be trying to scam other people's daughters in the first place. And that's exactly what Junaid is trying to do. Around 1 a.m. July 16th, right now, a few hours ago, Junaid was having law enforcement send me ads to get me to go scam other people's daughters. I don't need to do that, and I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that, because obviously I would get in trouble later on in life, and these people have nothing to lose, and I don't want this problem, and I'm not going to do that. And I already told them, and they keep like threatening to do things. Like early July, a couple days ago, they were threatening to break my windshield, car windshield, using the Safe Light ad, followed by an ad for slashing my tires just a couple days ago. I can't tell you the exact date and time right now, because law enforcement also broke the laptop charger that I have, out of fear that I'm going to write about all their embarrassments and them getting police called on them every single day. Junaid and Ibrahim, the greedy framer, literally law enforcement's having the police called on them, because law enforcement gives them numbers for these women and girls. These women and girls, by the way, if they're like school teachers, like my elementary school teacher, just wants to call me over to her house after my brain savant gets freed, after obviously I get my first work done, which will be Zero Tolerance Coffee, and they just want me to tell them and their family about my brain savant, how it evolved, what happened, how I got it done. And the only reason they're contacting me so early is not because they want to sleep with me, like these psychopathic perverts thing. It's only because they want to put their name on the list early, so that when my brain savant does get freed, I don't go anywhere else. I go to them first. That's basically all there is to it. If I was a school teacher, I would have done the same. I had a female student. I would have been like, "Can you come to me first after you get your first work done?" Or, "Yeah, just come to me first. So tell me your story to me first instead of anyone else." Because at that time, you're gonna have people following you around and asking you questions themselves. But I want you to come to me first. That's basically all there is to it. And these perverts think something else, and they're running after them for asking them to sleep with them. Like, what the heck is wrong with these people? And Junaid, by now, has shown his true motive, because July 10th, he was trying to come up in front and behind my car camera, and Ibrahim, the greedy framer, same exact thing. Same night, same thing. And the reason I know this was a sex scheme ad is because law enforcement has been trying to do this with me with Uncle Joey for years, and I refused each and every single time. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to help you scam. I'm not going to like run sex scheme ads for Uncle Joey for you. Like, I said it every time, and now it's been like, what, I was a child the last time I saw Uncle Joey. If it wasn't for law enforcement, I would have had met Uncle Joey numerous times and helped them scam other people's daughters, or like people's mothers, like whatever they're into. Like, yeah, they're like really annoying. And we know for a fact on July 10th, that night, Junaid was coming ahead and behind my car cameras just to be able to run these scams and be able to run after these women and girls, trying to act like he's autistic, looking down on the ground, when it has nothing to do with autism, by the way. And these people are just making a fool of themselves, because these girls like me because of my brain savant. They're not into loners, and they're not into autistic people. They like me because of my brain savant, and they only want me after my brain savant gets freed, and there's a monetary potential to it. People are only putting their name, trying to put their name in the box. No one is trying to sleep with me. No one's trying to sleep with anyone, first of all. And even if they were, I wouldn't be running scams on anyone's daughter. That's just not right. You're not supposed to be doing that. And that's not how things work. You're not supposed to be, like, if you have something to show, then you show up after you have it to show. Like, yeah, that's how it works. If you're going to claim that you're going to be a billionaire next year, well, then come back next year when you're a billionaire. You know, that's common sense. You're not supposed to be scamming other people's daughters like that. And Junaid and law enforcement have been asking me over and over again for me to do this, including the last time being 1:01 a.m. Right now it's 5:27 a.m. 1:01 a.m. just a couple hours ago, July 16th. It's in my Gmail, Amazon Partners. They want me, and you could tell from the phone conversations between Junaid and law enforcement, they basically want me to go scam other people's daughters into sleeping with Junaid. And since I refused, and they've already threatened to like break my windshield, slash my tires, and now they even broke my laptop charger, due to which I can't even like tell you the exact date and time, but early July right now, they had put Safelite ad on there, followed by a couple of minutes later by slashing my tire ad, only to threaten to break all these things because I wasn't willing to scam these girls. Obviously, the girls would be willing to sleep with me, and obviously I could scam them into sleeping with Junaid. But do you think that would be the right thing to do? No, because both me and you know that I'm not going to marry that girl, and I'm just going to use her. And then her parents are going to find out, and they're just going to be like, wow, what a, you know what? He just used you, and then he left. And why would I do that to someone? You know, there's no need. Yeah, and I'm not doing this for anyone. Like, I already told them, I don't want, I'm not interested. I don't want it. If you're getting rejected, you're getting rejected. Not my problem. I'm not going to do this. And so, yeah. So basically that's what happened. And even like a couple hours ago at 1:01 a.m. On July 16th, they were sending me Amazon Partners ad for me to go and help them scam other people's daughters. Like, I have no interest for this thing. I don't want to do it. You know, if you have a sex addiction problem, there are pills you could take. You could go talk to your doctor. They'll give you medications for it. Like, it'll lower your sex drive, so you don't have to like think about this 24/7. But I'm not going to help you scam someone else's daughter. Yeah, obviously they're only doing this because they know that like these girls look interested, but I won't do that because me and you both know that I'm not going to marry this girl. So using her up when she's someone else's daughter makes no sense. When I could, if I'm telling the truth, and I'm obviously, and if I'm telling the truth about my brain savant, artificial intelligence is telling the truth, then it makes no sense for me to be going right now, anyways. I would go after my brain savant would get freed, and I would get my zero tolerance coffee done. If I am telling the truth, then that's when I go. And I go to the person whom I love, and then I just get married to her. That's how you know framers from the people that are telling the truth. Framers follow, people that are telling the truth follow the right pathway and right plan of action, whereas framers, scammers, and liars want an early return on everything. It's just like, if you're telling the truth, why do you want an early return on everything? You know, it's that sort of thing. It's a very basic question. And I'm not doing this. I'm not going to scam someone else's daughter to doing this when I know for a fact I'm not going to marry her. So it doesn't make any sense for me to be doing this in the first place. And law enforcement and Junaid have just sent the ad for me to do this like a couple hours ago at 1:01 a.m. July 16th. And I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Yeah. But yeah, and before this, Junaid, on July 10th at like 8 p.m. came in front of my car cameras after law enforcement told him the exact moment to come in front of it so that he could advertise himself to be able to run after these girls and women. And like Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, did the exact same thing around 8:45 p.m. when I was coming back that same night. Aggressively driving his black Prius in front of my car to come in my car cameras so that he could advertise himself to these girls and women. And basically law enforcement would get a drug addict who's literally overdosing on drugs every single week and ending up in the emergency room every single week to be with these girls, which is absolutely wrong, because these girls are living alone, and their own law enforcement is only doing this because these girls are living alone and their parents are not there, and using up all these scams that, like, literally, I'm not doing this. I would never do this. I'm not interested myself. I don't want to sleep with anyone myself. So why am I gonna, like, go help someone else out? It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, common sense rhetoric states that if I was telling the truth, I wouldn't do it in the first place. Like, if you're telling the truth, then just go do it when, go do it when you get it done. Like, it's just a common sense thing. Like, you're telling the truth about you being able to get coffee done in zero tolerance coffee done in 30 days, right? Yeah, okay, then go to her after you're done getting it done. Like, it makes no sense for you to be going early, and it's that sort of thing. And yeah, regardless, I'm not going to help law enforcement go scam someone else's daughter when, like, it's absolutely wrong. And it's like they wouldn't want their own daughters to be scammed in the first place. And they're asking me for help to go scam someone else's daughter based on absolute lies. The Mr. CEO is not a CEO. He's getting an early retirement this year. And the other guy is a complete and total drug addict who overdoses on his drug literally every single week and ends up in the emergency room. These aren't like prescription medication drugs. You got to remember, the people that make these street drugs, they don't have any rules to be following. They don't have to, like, increase the therapeutic effect of these drugs at all. What they are going to do is lower the tolerance as much as possible. Every single molecule is going to be different. They're only going to let the functional group stay of those molecules, change up the side groups as much as possible so as to increase the tolerance of these drugs, and probably even add other drugs in there, like liquid MDMA or something in there, and do that. And then at the same time, they're also increasing their potency so that the person gets so much euphoria that they end up overdosing every single week. Like, you can't even overdose once in a lifetime with prescription medications that you get from a pharmacy. I don't have attention deficit, but I definitely have hyperactivity disorder. It's to the fact that if I'm working like a 12-hour long shift in CVS in 2018, I would work 12 hours from morning till night, not even take a 15-minute break, and be hyperactive the entire time. And even at the end of that shift, I would be able to go and run 3 registers at one time, is how much energy I would have. Yeah. If I'm being prescribed medication for it, I can literally try to overdose in it. Even then, I wouldn't be able to. I can't take anything more than like a high brisk walk after taking it. If I even tried to overdose on it, it wouldn't be possible, because then the heart rate would be too high for me to be able to overdose on it. That's how these drugs are made for the pharmacies, that the person can try for a lifetime to overdose on it, and he will never be able to overdose on it, to the point of being able to be forced to go to the emergency room or the ambulance or anything like that. And yeah, and then you age out of these medications that are given at pharmacies. I don't even know why I'm comparing the two, but you age out of it. After a certain point, you would get sick and tired of it yourself, because the tolerance is not lowered. And after taking it for a while, you would just be sick and tired of it. You would tell your own doctor, like, I've had enough of this. I don't think I want this anymore. You could put in your computer that it's too much dependency on these drugs, so don't give it to me anymore. Because people age out of these medications that have therapeutic effects being given in pharmacies. Whereas these street drugs, they basically like add other drugs in there. They don't follow rules. They're going to add other drugs in there, like liquid MDMA. They're going to decrease potency on there and decrease tolerance on there, increase potency on there, so that the person gets so much euphoria that they keep taking more and more. And those physiological effects, like too much increase in heart rate, is not even going to be there, due to which they're going to overdose at least once a week, end up in the emergency room at least once a week due to these drugs. And like, they want me to get these people to go sleep with these people's daughters who are just vulnerable, and they're just living without their parents. And like, these girls are not sex addicts. They're looking for guys that would be able to provide for them. And the right thing to do is, if you're that guy, then after you have that money, you go talk to the girl's parents about it, and then you get married to the girl, instead of going around using people's daughters. Like, me and my mother, we have a habit of watching documentaries, and we were watching this documentary. It was called Born Poor in America. It was like a Frontline documentary, because me and my mother, we like watching Frontline documentaries, just random ones. So there was a story in there about a family. It was like a really poor family, and they had a son named Roger Smith, and I felt so bad because he dies from like a car accident. And even in that documentary, in the starting, like, the father didn't have money for brake calipers, and the son basically dies. His truck just crashes and he dies. Like, you could not imagine the kind of grief that people's families would have to go through, that are going through the death of a child who dies like that. And these people in law enforcement are torturing me day and night and harassing me, giving me these ads to try to force me to get a drug addict to go sleep with someone's daughter who's vulnerable and living alone. Like, if that guy's daughter dies, like, who's responsible? Are you responsible? Am I responsible? Who's responsible for this? If she starts taking drugs and she overdoses, like, her parents are gonna grieve like that. And like, I watched that documentary, like, it was so sad. Like, Roger Smith dies in that documentary, and you can't imagine the kind of grief that his parents and his loved ones are going through. Like, his parents look like totally different people. His siblings, who are like really poor, are grieving over their siblings' death. And it's like, and these people in law enforcement are trying to force me to, like, they're trying to force me to get a drug addict who's getting street drugs and overdosing on it every single week to go and sleep with these girls that I do not know and I have no interest in. Seriously, I don't care about these girls, and I don't want them. I have enough problems in my own life. And like, yeah, if these girls, one of them ends up dead, like, who's responsible for that? And who's responsible for the grief that their family has to go through? It's that sort of thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I already told them I'm not doing that. Well, anyways, yeah, that's it for this video, and then I'm gonna make another one.